Hello by watching this video, my name is Redspot and welcome back to my Pokemon gym of every type. Let's finish off the rest of the starter types with the grass type. Grass types typically end up being some of the best glue Pokemon for any team. You can pretty much use them in whatever role you need them for. Plenty of grass types have a wide range of specializations. If you need Pokemon to hit hard, take hits, or just outspeed, you have plenty of grass types that fit into those categories. With the well-roundedness of grass types, it makes it one of the easier teams to put together. The only big issue that grass has is because of how well-rounded it is, it doesn't really have too many top-end hitters. Especially because the way I put together these teams, I try not to use any starters or legendary Pokemon. So this will actually be my first video with an exception. Also because my favorite Pokemon of all time happens to be a grass type starter or legendary. Gym 1 Tangela will lead off the team. Tangela is likely my strongest lead for Gym 1 since I did Munchlax for the normal type gyms. Since Tangela never initially evolved, its base stat total is actually surprisingly high, especially because Tangrowth didn't come later till Gen 4. With a 115 base defense and a 100 base special attack, it is extremely strong, especially in those two areas. But the rest of its stats are usually around 50 or lower, so I think there's enough strategies that you can go ahead and implement to get around Tangela without too many issues early on. The ace of the first gym will be Lombre. Lombre gets the nod over Tangela because it's a first stage evolution, even though Tangela has a much better base stat total than it. I almost like to look at it like as if it has seniority over it because it's evolved. Plus, since Lombre doesn't have a weakness to fire types, I think it's a very useful ace for Gym 1, so that all the starters have an even shot at the first gym. Even though water types don't still do well, but you know what I mean. I also think it's much more fun that trainers would have to look towards like poison, bug, or flying types early on to mix it up a little bit more instead of just going in with their fire type starter. Our TM for the first gym though will be Magical Leaf. The reason being is I think it's really nice to go ahead and give out a move that can't miss to trainers early on, especially with Sand Attack potentially running rampant very early on in games. Gym 2, we're going to move Lombre off the ace spot and in comes Breloom. Breloom has probably been one of my most used Pokemon ever. I used to play Alpha Sapphire all the time when I was a kid, and Breloom would somehow just end up making his way on the team every single time. Being able to just step in and use Mach Punch just to do major damage to anything is always wonderful to have. Plus, with Breloom's 130 base attack, it can really do major damage to anything, whether it's a weak move or not at the time. Tangela and Lombre will stay the same though for the first gym otherwise. Gym 3 will have us promoting from within. Tangela has now evolved into Tangrowth. Now, I do know Tangrowth is definitely 100% very much overpowered for Gym 3, but you can blame Game Freak for that one. Cause to me, it's not my fault that Tangela evolves once it learns Ancient Power, and Tangela learns Ancient Power at the low level of 24. You could almost argue that we could have Tangrowth for the second gym, considering the fact in X and Y, Grant, who is the second gym leader, I think has 2 25s, so having your ace be level 24 or higher at the third gym is certainly not a stretch. Even though with what I said, with Tangrowth being very overpowered early on, it does still only have a base 50 special defense. So if you have a very strong special attacker or two, you can definitely still hold your own against Tangrowth. Also now, Lombre will be the lead of our team. Gym 4, we're going to have Whimsicott come in and be the speed of our team. The team has been a little bit slow up until this point, so being able to bring in Whimsicott with a base 116 speed will really help out what we have. But not only does it have a 116 base speed, it also has access to Tailwind, so Whimsicott can actually make the entire team a lot faster, at least for a couple turns. And even though Whimsicott really doesn't help out with our weaknesses, actually making us even weaker to fire and poison at this point, I think just having the fairy typing in general will really help us more down the line. And for that, Lombre will still stay our lead, and Tangrowth will still be our ace. Gym 5, Breloom will actually slide into our lead slot because Lombre is evolving. One of the best things about Ludicolo is actually how well-rounded it is. Yeah, sure, it means it really doesn't excel in necessarily anything in particular, but at the same time that grass-water typing is really its core strength anyways, so having a well-rounded stats with that, it just makes it good anyways. Plus, another little bonus is it can still learn Zen Headbutt, which will help out with our poison weakness, even if it still isn't particularly great for it. Tangrowth will still stay the ace of our team, but our new TM will be Giga Drain. So far, our team is slightly more on the offensive side, so to be able to have Giga Drain and bring whatever health back will be very useful to make sure that we stay on the field for as long as we possibly can. After this gym though, Giga Drain will become even more useful as we're going to go ahead and add some more defensive tanks. Gym 6 will have a new ace, as our poison and bug weakness is starting to really get out of hand at this point. Ferrothorn is going to be an absolute defensive beast to pair up with Tangrowth and just be able to eat a ton of hits,
as long as those hits aren't fire-type moves.
Ferrothorn has an absolutely fantastic 131 base defense and 116 base special defense. Pair that with its steel typing, it becomes an absolutely incredible defensive monster. And on top of that, Ferrothorn actually learns a lot of healing moves like Ingrain, Leech Seed, or Giga Drain on top of it. And don't sleep on Ferrothorn's base 94 attack, it can certainly Earthquake you as well too. Gym 7 is actually going to add our last member of the team. And also where I'm going to break some of the fake rules I put on this series and go ahead and add a starter Pokemon. Not only a starter Pokemon though, but quite possibly my favorite Pokemon of all time is Venusaur. Venusaur is truly the definition of can take you down in a million different ways. It can hit you specially, it can hit you physically, it can take hits physically, it can take hits specially, and then it's really not that slow either, even though that might come as a shock to most people. For being tied with other starters for the lowest base stat total for any starter Pokemon, that is absolutely insane, because it certainly does not play like it. Now, I could ramble on for a very long time about Venusaur because of how much I love it, but I think most people can get the gist of it. Yet, even still with all that praise for Venusaur, I'm actually going to still keep Ferrothorn as the ace for just this gym. Gym 8, though, that quickly changes because Venusaur decided to go ahead and find a Mega Stone. So now, we got ourselves an ungodly strong, thick, fat Mega Venusaur. Which, if you don't know what thick fat does, it actually causes fire and ice type moves to essentially not be super effective anymore. So that means Venusaur is not going down. Because of Venusaur actually taking over an ace spot though, that does mean we can actually move Ferrothorn now as our lead. A lot of the reason I want Ferrothorn as actually our lead now is because of Stealth Rocks. Stealth Rocks actually being super effective against essentially every single grass type weakness out there, being fire, poison, bug, flying, and ice. I almost forgot about ice. This means for the 8th gym, our final team would look like this. Ferrothorn in the lead, followed closely behind by Breloom, Tangrowth, Ludicolo, Whimsicott, and our ace, Mega Venusaur. So those are my grass type teams for every single gym. If you want to see how the 8th gym would actually play in battle and see how it actually go, I'm going to go ahead and play this team on Pokemon Showdown in a couple days from now, so go ahead and check out that video if you're curious. Also, let me know in the comments below what you guys would do as your grass type gyms, whether it's 1 through 8, just 8, or however you want to do it. Other than that, though, I would love to say thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, enjoy, it's greatly appreciated, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Can you